and hopefully everything works.
Just to reiterate for people showing up, this is a race with people playing the game and another person with the spoiler log, looking through the spoiler log, navigating through the game for the other person. Looks like we have an Edgar, Seven, and Shadow start. We did give them Edgar, since it was an 8-dragon race and we didn't want to have it all locked off. But Seven and Shadow, 2 good characters, depending on their abilities.
Yes, because as you're pointing out in the chat there, Sephiroth, suplex time may not be true.
Yes, this is alpha has become the standard now. There is no more alpha, so all the ability randomization and shuffling around is a thing.
However, we do have my co-commentator here who could tell you exactly who has a suplex and whether we're going to see it or not. As I casually put the man under pressure, like the absolute friend that I am.
I have to look through this giant sheet that I'm not familiar with at all.
So I'm going to talk you through quickly what I'm expecting to happen over the first few minutes. So the navigators weren't allowed to open their spoiler logs until the race started. So what should be happening now is our runners are going to be running around, as you can see them, gathering up treasure, although in Fraggle's case, we're in Collapsing House, so go figure. Yeah, they're going to be mostly gathering up their treasure, getting some early money for equipment. And the navigator will be finding the critical path for characters, because they do need, as a minimum, Edgar, who they started with, Locke, and Cyan to access all of the dragons. But the spoiler log also has equipment lists for shops on there, so lots of shopping opportunities.
Yeah, and Setzer technically has Blitz, but they're also shuffled around. So it's not Setzer that has Blitz, it's that the slot command has been replaced with Blitz. And then the spoiler log doesn't actually tell you who winds up with what command, apparently.
Ooh.
It tells you what they turn into, but not where they wind up. But it does seem like, aside from a trip to Zen for Fraggle, most people seem to be going straight for treasures. But getting Celeste early is a very Jack thing to do, if possible.
Yeah, I can't complain about the logic of that. If they manage to find good equipment, you know, Illuminas, Minerva Bustiers, Cells can naturally equip all of those, so there's going to be no compatibility worries whatsoever there.
Exactly, and we're seeing some shop stuff on the top left. Another flag we are running is that the shops are random, and the prices are random. So he just sold some stuff that's usually worth a few K for tens of Ks.
Yep, as you're seeing on the top left, you could have a tonic worth 30,000 GP, you could have an X potion for less than 2.
Yeah, and you might want to sell one of those and get the other one. Personally, I'd spend all my money on tonics, but that's just me. I need something for my gin.
You could say that you would spend a ton on tonics.
Well, I could, but I wouldn't. I'm not you.
Buckle up, chat. Buckle up.
Indeed. Oh, even the chat's mad at you for that one.
Look, I stream enough. I'm used to the chat being mad at me, okay?
Yeah, you probably are. Interestingly, Jack has sent Fraggle to Albuck, a place he doesn't usually go unless Fraggle made that decision himself, which is possible. We're seeing Drew going to get his Celeste, and just some treasure gathering with the other peoples.
And we were seeing some nice cheap Moogle charms there if anyone does what I am coining a future and accidentally sells one.
Yeah, that's not a good plan. Are they? I think they're excluded from the randomized price list. I know I suggested that to Atma at one point, but I haven't checked recently.
I don't know. They may still have random distortion on, if nothing else.
Yes, because very early, the meta for myself and Jack was to immediately sell 2 of the Moogle charms because they were worth like 30k. And then just deal with the fact that it would slow you down long term in Kefka's Tower. But I don't recall people doing that recently, so it must have changed.
I'm going to be honest, it's something I've never thought of doing.
If you have non-random prices on, they're worth like 1 gold, so there's no point anymore. It got changed when we figured it that was a thing and suggested it shouldn't be.
Some interesting things going on the top left, though, because I'm seeing lots of checking shops, which is something that I'd have thought Jack would be doing in the spoiler log, so...
Yes, Jack could do that much more quickly than Fraggle, but perhaps Jack is looking for other things or doing a complete route for Fraggle at the start.
So, we've seen Drew and Keith's team manage to get Sellers as well. Interesting to see where they head next.
Heading up to Nersh now. I was looking at the spoiler log for a bit, so I don't know who went where at the start, but he's apparently going to buy a very cheap air anchor, which is a solid play for if you've got tools.
And I'm going to assume we do.
Has anyone opened their status screens to check their abilities yet?
I haven't noticed, but I'm going to assume we have tools. And even if we don't have it yet, it's going to be very useful when they get someone.
Yeah, I just found a chainsaw on Drew's screen, so chainsaw air anchor is going to cover most of your needs.
So, Pepita69, why are 2 names per screen? That is because we have 1 person playing the game and 1 person navigating with the spoiler log on each team. So it's like a rally race. You've got 1 person driving and 1 person navigating.
Yes, it is a new format. This is the first time we're trying it out, and hopefully people have fun with it, because it's a pretty good idea.
And it lets us do cruel things, like make them get all 8 dragons.
Well, we had to put something in their paths. If it was a regular 7-10 race and they had the spoiler log, we'd probably be going home by now.
Well, you say we had to put something in their path. I don't know, do chat want a little spoiler of what's to come?
I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Because I've got a little something in the barrel that might keep you watching for just a little bit longer. So
let's just say some people's is going to have to do some stuff they're not going to want to do.
Yeah, I had a little look-see at where Locke, one of the characters they require for the dragons, is hiding. And he happens to be atop the magic-only no-attacking Fanatics Tower.
Which is always fun for the whole family.
Behind Fun Barber 4, so a fairly chunky boss.
Ooh, Dragonhorn find for Fraggle there in a chest. That's an item I'm always incredibly happy to find, especially when you start with Edgar, who's a natural lance user.
And I'm pretty sure I just saw some tasty Ragnarok finds on Drewlith's screen.
Also delicious when you have the Celeste.
And
or just
Genji gloves.
Double Edgar.
Genji gloves, double Ragnaroks. Yeah, this... Drew's offense is set. I just hope he can find some defense.
Oh, he found Genji gloves and Ragnaroks for cheap, I guess. If he has that many of both of those things.
And we've got Classy there on the rags as well.
Yeah, 10k a piece it looks like. Which is like a third of their natural price.
I mean, at that price you can afford to pick some up and throw them.
Yeah, if Shadow has throw, that's gonna be 10k. Just throw your money around.
Now this is interesting. It doesn't look like Classy's found the Genji gloves. So Drew has an advantage there.
Yes, I'm not sure if those were purchased or found. But he does have 3, so I have to imagine they were for sale somewhere.
Yeah, nobody's that lucky with chests. Not even you.
No. Hey, what is this all of a sudden?
So on the bottom right, we've got El Grimwolf, one of our newest runners. I believe this is his first ever race. So shout out to him.
His first community race.
No, I think it's his first ever race.
Oh, well then. Good thing he's got Zelfer backing him up there.
Yeah, and he is just grabbing sellers. Top right, Drillith is dealing with the Opera House and a bunch of little trolly things.
Not a check people usually do terribly early. But, you know, if people know what's where, they're going to be more likely to do it. Classy Badger there, looking like he's going to buy some snow mufflers for 50k and some red caps. That's a very good armor shop.
Yeah, never say no to snow mufflers. Unless you have Minervas.
Yeah.
I'd choose the Minerva.
Then, red caps, one of the only useful helmets in the game.
I disagree with you there. I feel like the Genji helmet offers quite a lot of defense. I'd rather have one of those than a red cap, personally.
I'd rather have the extra health. But there's no matter what your choice is of the top tier is like 3 or 4 hats. So
I mean, I understand the point about the extra health, but they have to fight 8 dragons, 8 unscaled dragons in this seed. Their levels are going to be so high.
We basically turned on most of the annoying settings. Like, you'll notice they started naked, random shops and stuff. Dragons are unscaled and required. Lots of delicious little nonsense for them to have to deal with, since they do have the help of someone with just as much knowledge of a seed as you are capable of having without running it.
Yeah, very much. So, Fraggle is in the Nash treasure room at the moment.
Oh, and noticing that Drulith has an ice rod, there are no breakables for sale anywhere in this seed, and that's a new setting. It's not just rods anymore that aren't for sale, it's also there's no super balls and there's no elemental shields.
And it looks like Classy's going to be heading into Collapsing House to get his own sellers, so that'll bring all 4 sellers into play.
Yeah, that seems to be the basic first move for everybody. Noticing snow mufflers for sale somewhere else in Nash, as well as wherever Classy found them originally.
Yeah, and unlike the vanilla game, we have the flag turned on to mean that everybody in the party gets all of the XP. So there's no split XP in this, which means that there's no penalty for having 4 people in your party. All you get are the benefits.
Exactly. That is the standard flag, but it's a bit of a contentious point in the Discord at the moment, so it's always good to note what you're doing these days. So we see Fraggle heading to the Returner's Hut. I guess he's just going for treasure at this point, whilst Drew has just finished the Opera House. Or, sorry, is just about to finish the Opera House with a boss.
And Grim is in Colingen looking for shinies. And there we have Ragnaroks, okay?
And it's a ghost train. Another new flag with the recent move to 0.8 is that ghost train is not considered undead anymore. None of the bosses are insta-killable in that manner, although it does seem like an air anchor might take it out, because it did hit, and that I'm pretty sure means it's instant death vulnerable.
Yeah, they lose their undeadness, but they can still die to attacks like the Scimitar, which cuts them in half. I believe Odin and Raiden could still kill them, theoretically. And
that is something I was unaware of. But,
don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it works.
4 shields and cat hoods for sale on Grimwolf's screen there. Basically, if they don't... Unless they find a Minerva somewhere, their endgame gear is pretty much set, as far as I can tell. I did see someone pick up an Aegis shield in a chest, which is whether you want to use that or a force shield at the end of the game is a little dependent on your other gear.
I mean, I think it's more whether you want to use that or a second Ragnarok.
In this seed, certainly, and I would be going with the double Ragnaroks.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'd be going with double Illuminas, but given that nobody's gone for them, I'm guessing they're either not available or redonkulously expensive.
Yeah, whether they're just prohibitively expensive or only in chests is something we don't know. One thing the spoiler log does not give is a list of chest contents. I'm surprised Jack hasn't sent Fraggle to buy a bunch of Ragnaroks. Actually, Jack loves physical attacks. That should have been one of the first things he searched for in that document. So, Drew apparently picking up Terra there from the Opera House and heading off to the Sealed Cave.
So Pepita asks, can all characters equip everything? No. The way we have it set, I believe, in these flags is that they have all of their original equipment plus a random selection of other trash that they can equip.
And in this case, it seems like all 4 of the quote-unquote starting characters can use the Ragnaroks. Because the only person I didn't see Drew put one on was Celeste, who can natively equip that.
Indeed. Yes, we have Terra, which I'm assuming was the reward from the opera, given that that's where Fraggle is right now.
Indeed it was, and he's doing the standard move of checking out what's in the sealed cave. I know you're the one that actually went through the spoiler log and kind of worked out what the pathing would be so that we didn't run into some ridiculous get everything dragon race, but I'm not that knowledgeable, so I don't know what the check here is going to give.
You have the spoiler log that could tell you.
It could, but then I'd have to look over there, and then I'd have to read.
It's a hard life being a commentator, folks.
I know. But yeah, it might be a valid strategy just to go in there for chests, because certainly the camp has a lot of them, and then there are a fair number in the cave itself. And although I say that, and then immediately realize they have access to Ragnaroks, Genji gloves, snow mufflers, cat hoods, red caps, and force shields just from shops. They don't need chests except for money.
You say that, but the chests could provide breakables, they could provide illuminers, and the check could provide a cyan, who we need for a dragon.
Indeed we do. And I guess it is Drew doing the race, so he loves his breakables. He might actually check extra chests just for that reason. I did notice Jack, or Fraggle rather, has a flame shield, and Drew found an ice rod. I haven't noticed any other breakables.
There was a pearl rod in the Imperial base treasure room.
All right then. So we found 3-ish breakables. And Celeste is the tools user. So that's a very good Celeste.
I thought you were going to call her a tool for a minute there. That would have been rude.
Hey, I'm a professional amateur commentator.
So what you're trying to say is you don't exactly have the tools of the trade?
Again, no, I'm not going to say that. You can take those hits for me.
Nice.
So we have a gal getting found at the leader check, whilst Classy Badger just pummels a lizard with something that isn't pummel, but is in fact some Ragnaroks.
And that is another train.
Yes, I did turn on random bosses. And I believe if anybody runs into fixed encounters, that we have some bosses in those as well. 20% bosses, yes.
Phew boy. So are we prepared for the minecarts of Goddess?
We'll have to see.
Or maybe the floating continent full of poltergeist? Who knows?
It's going to be something delicious, I'm sure.
So, as always, if you're sat there in the chat and you have no idea what's going on, don't hesitate to pipe up with your questions. I'm sure we'll be glad to answer them to the best of our abilities. And if you want to get more involved in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, go to that link that Enty just posted. Hop on our Discord, it's full of friendly people and fun races like this. Get involved, get stuck in, why not?
It's a very good randomizer. Atma, the dev, is incredibly amenable and listens to everyone. It's just an open and nice place to be. And you're going to get listened to. Whether you're asking questions for help or you've got some suggestions for Atma, you're going to get noticed and people will work on stuff.
Yes, Senpai will indeed notice you.
I'm not sure Atma would approve of being called Senpai, but we'll just have to ask them later. Esper there, Ifrit getting picked up by Grimwolf in the Imperial camp.
So, I'm getting a little concerned for Team Fragglejack here, because Fraggle's in an encounter, and I don't think he's noticed his timer running away.
That happened to me last time. Yes, he is having some time issues there. Also, I just noticed Classy fell down the hole or something in the Opera House, which is not something I've seen a racer do in ever.
Now, we've all forgotten which world we're in at one point, especially when we know we need to come here for a dragon.
Yes, that was something I was going to say. It is possible that they've confused which check they're doing. They will have to go up. We're seeing a reset from Fraggle. I guess he finally noticed the timer.
And Drew has sucked up his courage and is heading into the Magitech factory.
So we get to listen to one of the best songs in the game.
Yes, we do.
Or probably not for us. I get to listen to The Sound of Silence, which is a worse song.
You could listen to the restream if you wanted to go, insane.
I'm already halfway there. I don't want to push it. So we are seeing some Magitech at the top right. Two people on the left attempting the old upper house. And Grimwolf seems like he's going to Nersh for reasons.
Okay, so what are the numbers of the characters mean next to the names? So, on the little screens, I'm guessing you mean in the middle of the screen, the Esper icon, the character, and the dragon. So the number in the yellowy gold is how many they need to find of each thing. So in this case it is 12 Espers, 9 characters, and 8 dragons. And the numbers in white are the amount that they have found.
Yes, and the reason they need that number of things is you are barred from entry to Kefka's Tower until you find that number of characters and Espers. There are 2 dragons in Kefka's Tower, but you can't fight Kefka himself until, in this case, you kill all 8 dragons.
Yeah, that's a rather rude door.
Yeah, I'm noticing a Doomgaze fight on Drew's screen and an Umaro on Fraggle's screen, who got through that Opera House a lot more quickly this time.
And I'm noticing either extreme use of a Fenrir or a bunch of Mirage Vests on Drew's screen.
Honestly, it's hard to pay attention to 4 people at once. I can't answer that question.
So, yes, the dragons are randomized. They're in exactly the same spot they would normally be, but which dragon it is completely random.
And in this case, I believe they are not just shuffled around, but are actually random. So you could see the same dragon multiple times.
Yeah, you could see 4 dirt dragons if you wanted to. Why you would want to see
all
that.
dirt dragon setting. Seems Fraggle's having a bit of trouble with that Yeti.
Yeah, that's not a thing you want to do.
Yeah, it's not a boss you usually see people struggle with. But again, we haven't seen him go and pick up the Ragnaroks everyone else is throwing around.
He is trying this at level 3. That should be pointed out.
Not going to help. So the Celeste check in South Figaro apparently did yield Fenrir. That is probably what Drewlith is doing in that race, in that fight. And Edgar just killed himself in the face with a Ragnarok on the bottom left in Classy Badgers' screen.
And Drew is having real problems with this Doomgaze right now.
Yeah, Doomgaze is not usually a boss you want to fight. Period.
Yeah, I don't like seeing Doomgaze myself. Doomgaze is worse than Goddess to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the clutch Pearl Rod, and he makes it through.
Evidently, that's good thing he found that, because that was 6k and he was only throwing a few hundred a turn if he didn't get those flare procs.
So, given that the easiest boss in the Magitech factory has caused this many problems, I dread to think what's coming next.
And Phoenix find there, which Cure 2 Bolt, and some stat bonus I did not catch.
Now, I wonder if my wonderful commentator here can remind me what enemy scaling setting we have on.
Enemies are at the standard progression ×2, but their max level scaling is 99, as opposed to the standard 40-something.
Okay. So what that means, essentially, is that for every check, and I believe dragons and required dragon races, that the runners do, the enemy levels will go up by 2.
Indeed. And they do not start at level 1, they start technically at level 3. Well, they start below level 3, but 3 is the lowest level an enemy can have in the code for this game for some reason, and then Atma has added a plus or minus 1 or 2 to them, so that people can't just game the numbers and use, for example, level 4 Flare knowingly.
Yes. So, how fast can you level up, asks Putz12. So, the basic set of flags for this, and I believe in this case as well, has 3 times the normal XP coming from battles, and as we mentioned earlier, that XP goes to every surviving non-zombied, non-petrified character in the team. So, pretty fast. Especially when you consider that the stronger you get, or the more checks you do rather, the stronger the enemies get, and the more XP they drop.
And most of the glitches in the game are disabled. And any that aren't are usually tested by Drew, and then the community goes, yeah, maybe don't do that. I did see a Rexall kill there on Drewlith, and Classy Badger picked up Terra. Fraggle still struggling with this Opera House.
And it looks like El Grimwolf has now arrived at the Opera House as well.
Yeah, it seems to be a popular spot, and the level scaling is not pointless, but levels mean more to the character than they do to enemies in this game.
So I have a little story about this, if you'd like.
Absolutely.
In a run recently, I got very, very cocky, because something had gone screwy with the flags, and I was getting a lot of XP. I walked into Kefka's tower at level 90-something. In there I met a Magimaster who didn't care what level I was and how high my defense was. And that Magimaster hit my only character that could fight in that party for 7,500 damage.
What a nice man. Very welcoming.
And that was the day I learned that no matter how well you're doing, you save in Kefka's tower.
Absolutely.
Because that set me back 4 bosses in a dragon.
Oh, man. That's like how Jack used to play this game before I finally convinced him to maybe save every now and then.
Yeah, you can go, flat out, try and blast your way through things.
Yes. The other thing with the scaling is just finding an Esper. Or whatever, completing a check that gives you a character or an Esper raises the enemy's level. So if you go do a bunch of checks that don't involve bosses, you won't be gaining any levels, and suddenly the enemies will be a very high level, and you might not be able to deal with them without going to kill some random monsters.
And let's not forget, there are the infamous dead checks. There are checks that will give you a piece of equipment rather than an Esper or a character. They still level up the enemies too.
That is not accurate.
Is it not?
It's only if you get a character or an Esper.
Really? I thought it was just doing the check. See, even I've learned something tonight.
This Match Tech Factory is just a list of terrible bosses.
Yeah, I think Keith might secretly hate Drew. Sending him here, I'm not sure.
Well, I can take a looky-loo through this little sheet I've got.
But we may see the end of some friendships tonight here, folks. It looks like, while MC's looking that up, looks like Fraggle and Grimwolf both made it through the Humpties and are now dealing with a choo-choo train.
It is a valid play. There is a useful reward at the end of it, and he has found 2 Espers already. It's just a matter of whether or not Drew can kill those bosses, and in this case, it seems like he did. Fraggle finally finishing the Opera House.
Fantastic. Yes, Putz, this is a co-op run, so each team has 1 person playing the game, and 1 person with a text document telling them where all of the characters are, all of the Espers are, all of the bosses are. So,
as well as the contents of shops and other such things.
You can see what magic the Esper has, and what skills, stat boost it gives you, if any, and how quickly you'll learn that magic.
And it's 1 high kick Dadaluma's doing.
How did he even get up there? Like, what are we thinking? Really powerful pogo stick?
High kicking. He's just a master of kicks.
Well, he's got to get his kicks somehow, eh?
Is there anyone else that can take over commentating for you?
No, you're stuck with me. I'm sorry.
Unfortunate. Drew did pick up Setzer there. That was the reward for the 3rd Magitech Factory check, and he's going to check Kalingen immediately, whilst Classy Badger is picking up cyan, which we know leads to some other things. Mog find at the Setzer check.
And I believe Mog will lead you to Strago, if I'm not mistaken, who leads you to Lock. Which is the final required character.
Lone Wolf does indeed give you Strago.
And
So-
yes, there are going to be some very happy people to see Strago, such as Zelfa, the navigator on the bottom right there. Because
Yes,
Strago
I'm
is
sure
his
that's
favourite
very cute.
character.
Oh, Prometheus find for Classy Badger. That's not an enemy you want to see in a random grind spot.
No. No, that's going to suck.
Yeah. Fraggle and Jack finally getting to the sealed cave, as has been the standard move for everyone.
Shoutouts
This is
to Drulith, remembering to go and actually get the Lone Wolf chain started, something I forget every run.
I often am a screen or two into Nersh before I go, wait a second, something's supposed to be happening here. But yeah, Prometheus, I would just okay, warp stoning out. That is the move you should be doing there. That is one of the worst enemies in the entire game. Don't want to be fighting that at the low level they are. Or frankly, at high levels often.
Yeah, there's something you just don't want to fight, full stop.
Yeah, it's one of the terrible ones, like the Madam / whatever those ninjas are called, outsiders. There are certain enemies that no matter how high your level is, they can just ruin your day.
So we have Fraggle and Grim, both in the sealed cave, going to get that cyan.
Mm-hmm.
Drew picking up everybody's favourite old man.
Oh, this is interesting. Grim actually went and got the bottom left chest in that room. That is not something I see people do. Full stop. Most people just go to the right. I'm not sure if it's actually faster to go to the right. That just seems to be the path people take.
So, in the lead right now, unquestionably, it is Drulith and Keith McRocks, because they have all the characters they need.
Indeed, just looking for 10 Espers and a whole bunch of Durgan kills.
Right, they do not have all the characters they need. They don't actually have Lock yet.
In terms of required characters, they have all the ones they need, but there is indeed a dragon locked behind Lock.
You're just as bad as me, don't deny it.
I might need to leave now. I don't think I'm allowed in my own home anymore.
You could say he unlocks the seed.
Yeah, I could, but I don't wanna. Don't make me! So, seeing Fraggle in some shops. Still not the shops that have the Ragnaroks. I'm
Maybe Jack
surprised.
hasn't scrolled down fast enough to see the spoiler log has the shops on it?
Oh, he's aware of that. He must have just searched for Illumina and then forgotten to search for Ragnarok.
Oh no, there's the Rex. We're good.
Ah! I'm good at quickly reading like 10 lines of text.
Hang on, I'm seeing Classy in the cave on the Veldt. Looks like they're going for Espers. Interesting play. Maybe there's something really good on that Esper? Who knows?
It's possible. It's also, once you have your 4 characters, if you are happy with what they can equip and what they can do as an ability, there's no real necessary reason to go for characters over Espers.
No. One good play that I found for this sort of race, though, is to check the dragons. Because if you can find some way to block, for example, the lightning element, and you can find yourself a nice gold dragon, then have some kind of offense. Dragons are not scaled. Ooh.
No. Senor Behemoth in the Senor Behemoth spot?
Is this even randomized?
I think so, because I don't think Edgar is a ghost in the base game, and he definitely doesn't give you Golem.
But yeah, so dragons are unscaled, which means they are going to give you a whopping great load of XP. So if
Yes,
you can take
if
down
you
a dragon
can-
early,
If you can take down a dragon quickly, they're going to give you tens of thousands of experience.
and then nothing will ever challenge you again.
Yes. I'm actually not sure if the spoiler log tells you which dragon is which dragon.
It does, it's listed as a check, the 8 dragons. You do have to know which dragon appears naturally in which spots, but it does tell you.
Hmm. Oh, I see why. I searched for Ice Durgan, and it's apparently Ice Dragon. They're different.
Yep, no Durgans here.
No Durgans at all. And we are going to see a lot of one particular kind of dragon.
Nice.
So, yeah.
However, by the time that all of these people are ready to do their dragon checks, I think we can safely say that the enemies will be Durgan their own graves.
I don't think that's a safe thing to say. I think that's likely to get you glassed in a pub. So we're seeing an Edgar check on the Drulith side there, corner rather.
You may be wondering why, but actually this check is required because this leads you to the Ancient Castle check, where hides a dragon.
Indeed. There are dragons locked behind Edgar, Cyan, and Locke, so those are required character finds. Whether or not they're actually related to the progression of the seed, because you do have to kill all 8 dragons this time.
And if you're curious,
In general, I would never put 8 dragons in a race. I would stop at 5 because of that character dragon coupling. But since they have the spoiler log, we thought, why not?
yeah. And if you're curious, those checks with the dragons in them are Ancient Castle, an Edgar check, Phoenix Cave, the Locke check, and Mount Zozo, the Cyan check.
Indeed, an experience egg being found there by Drew, immediately getting put on one of his characters. I wasn't completely on top of which one it was. It might have been Edgar.
It's an interesting play, though, because you really don't need experience eggs here.
No, but if you can, why not? Levels do a lot for you in this game in terms of stats. Grimwolf taking down a Welk there.
A natural Welk to go with our natural Senior Behemoth.
Indeed, whilst Drew finds a Flame Eater in a bed of tentacles.
I think that Flame Eater might be regretting his life choices.
You don't sleep on a whole bunch of worms?
No.
Oh. You're weird. So, getting a couple leader checks in on the left side of the screen whilst Drew takes out that Flame Eater. And, Grimwolf, I did not see the reward for that. I'm going to guess it was an Esper?
Me neither, but I'm pretty sure our nice tracker will know.
He does tend to know all the things. Also, I have a sheet right next to me I could look at. Reading.
Phantom Welk, that's nice.
Another way you can deal with Final Kefka's Calmness attack, but they do also have Fenrir and Golem already.
And if they can find it, they have the option of Life 3. And in a seed like this, if you can find lots and lots of cheap Illuminers and everyone can equip them, 2 Illuminers are pretty much guaranteed to block Calmness as well.
Yes, once they find Locke, he, at level 3, has the natural magic of Life 3, so I don't think many people actually check whether people have natural magic upon receipt, and it's unlikely they're going to in this seed, because they started with essentially characters that you can equip and win.
So, here we have Grimwolf grabbing the Esper from the Phantom Train. We've got Drew going into the Ancient Castle to probably boop a dragon's snoot.
Yeah, and that unicorn has on it Model and Strength +1.
Yay.
Yeah, I'd put that Esper on. They're all holding Ragnaroks.
Let's see, where is Fraggle going? I hope he's not attempting Lone Wolf, because if he is, he's made that critical mistake we were talking about earlier.
Mm.
Nope, he's going to Welk.
Mog. And Lone Wolf is a character. It's
A required character, yeah.
Yes, so he may have forgotten and just decided to kill the Welk first. Or I didn't see him go... Wait, where was Setzer? Setzer was at the end of the Magitech factory. He doesn't have him yet.
Ah, okay.
Because it was Setzer at the end of the Magitech factory, then Mog and Kalingen, and then Strago at the top of the mountain. So the only person that's done that is Drew. It seems like everyone else probably saw that was the required path, but then went, I don't want to fight a Doomgaze and a Zone Eater. Not Zone Eater. That guy from Cyan's Castle. And then an Inferno. This early. Rexol, thank you, Frajan.
The best tracker in the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if you want to follow these fine people, if you look up a little bit in chat, we have links to our runners' Twitch streams and to our wonderful trackers' Twitch stream. And if for some reason you don't hate me and Enti by now, our streams are there too. Feel free to go drop the follows. You'll see more wonderful, wonderful streams like this and races and all sorts of fun stuff.
Hey, a hate follow is just as good as a regular follow.
Okay. Unfortunately, we do not have a command for the Navigator's Twitch streams. You might have to find those yourselves, but the names you see on the screen are their Twitch names, so shouldn't be too hard to hunt them down.
Not a terrible difficulty, but that is what's the word I'm looking for? It's a thing the bot can't do at the moment.
Speaking of things that are a thing, that's a Chadanik on the Phantom Train spot.
That's quite the pronunciation. But it is
how would you
indeed a
pronounce
Chadanik.
it? Chadanik,
That is
okay.
something I'm going to run away from.
Yeah,
Spooky
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So, Drew still with the big lead. 1 dragon kills, 6 espers, 10 characters. No one else has killed the dragon yet, and bit hard to tell who is in the lead with the other ones. They have gone in slightly different directions, and they have vaguely commensurate scores in terms of progression. But we are seeing Fraggle going for that dragon in Edgar's Castle, whilst Classy Badger has used Gao to get Stray, and then is just looking at that screen for some reason.
So, you may be looking at this thinking, but why are they so different here? You know, they've all got the same spoiler log, the same seed. Why aren't they all going the same places? So we've got to bear in mind that there's going to be a bit of a difference between each of the teams, because not all of the runners go to the same places naturally. They don't fight the same, the communication may be different between runners and navigators. There could be a whole bunch of things happening there. It's also important for the runner to ask the right questions.
Yeah, and we did set these teams up ourselves. They were not, the players did not set them up on their own. We basically paired people up as we saw fit. So these aren't necessarily people who are very experienced communicating with that other specific person.
Yeah,
so,
the teams are roughly set up in terms of experience, so a more experienced runner with a less experienced runner, just to try and keep it, balanced, semi-fair.
Indeed. And we are seeing the first foray at the Fanatics Tower on Drew's screen.
Well, let's hope Drew's been learning his spells.
I believe they have access to Fire 3 naturally on one of the characters. So that will get you through a lot of problems, not all of them.
A bio spell would be very nice for what's coming up, however.
Yes! Bio is usually a nice spell to have.
Because we do have the incredible bulk at the top of the tower.
Yes, I am noticing Fraggle has Ragnarok's just sitting in his inventory for some reason, instead of being equipped. I'm not sure if he just bought those and intends to go back for Genji gloves later, or forgot to equip them when he subbed out Shadow, I think it was, for Terra. It's a very Jack move to put Terra in there.
Yep, I can see the logic behind it. Naturally equipping, again, the Minerva if they found them, the Ragnarok.
Yeah, and while we do have the spoiler log, we haven't been, furiously typing Ctrl F to figure out where everything is, like our navigators have been.
So, you'll find a rather amusing feature here. On Drew's stream, we have Gao in the party in Fnatic's Tower, and Gao can do nothing. He has the item command and that is it, because in here, the magic command replaces your fight command, and if you don't have a fight command, no magic for you.
Gao is the best character all the time. Looks like Classy and Boo making some decisions there, just kind of sitting around, flying around, having a leisurely day in the air. Jack has finished up that first check and is going for the... I keep calling him Jack. It's Fraggle who's racing it. Jack is navigating. Whilst Drew is fighting a Storm Jurgen. And Grimwolf still dealing with that Chatternook, but it looks like he just took it down.
It would be very interesting to be a fly on the wall in some of these Discord chats, though. I'd quite like to hear the sort of discussions that are going on. Yeah, unfortunately, it would suck for you all to hear that, so...
And it would be impossible to commentate over.
Also, this is a PG-13 channel, and I know what's happening in some of those conversations.
Oh, absolutely. There's gonna be some cusses flying around. Some Rantalians, some Blast.
Some Dawn Found It's and whatnot.
Yeah, some Struths and Zounds.
Ooh,
all the dirty ones.
Box sets on Classy and Boo's screen. That's something you don't want to see in a random encounter. Because they don't like to die.
Why is he in a random encounter? I wonder.
He may be scared of being underleveled.
Well, there is those that run of 3 nasty bosses in Magitech Factory where they do have to go. So it seems like aside from Drew, who just risked it and pulled it off, everyone else seems to be putting it off as long as possible, which is a reasonable thing to do. But Drew took that risk and got the early lead.
And falls another dragon.
Yep. 6 more Durgans for Drew. 2 of those are in the final Kefka's Tower, picking up a valiant knife for his efforts with that Durgan.
Yep, so the dragons in the randomizer, they will always give you what they normally drop, plus 1 extra random piece of equipment.
From the good item pool, which is also the pool from which dead checks draw their rewards.
Which used to contain such wonderful items as heal rods. However, I think some people got a little too salty about getting the heal rods, and they're no longer a thing, which is sad.
Yeah, because now Shadow has nothing to kill himself in the back of the head with.
Exactly.
There is an offering from a dead check in Barren Falls, which is, with the boss that's there, about 30 seconds to a minute. It will be interesting to see if anybody goes and gets that, having found that Valiant knife that they're all going to find.
And there's also possibly the chance of a fixed dice from a dragon as well, or a chest, which also works nicely with the offering. Depending how much you hate yourself.
I would say it's unlikely any person navigating is going to say, hey, go get these fixed dice. Nuts to those double Ragnaroks. That's a fool strategy.
Yeah. Although the levels they're going to be at in Kefka's Tower, maybe not as full a strategy as you'd think. Ooh, we're seeing some Palador action up on the top right there. It's not very often you see Espers cast outside of Kefka's Tower in this randomizer, but that's nice to see.
It's interesting that Palador was the choice, because that's usually how you get through the fight that's there naturally.
Yeah, and it helps that Palador, as you're seeing right now gives you the chance for your weapons to proc any of their on-hit effects, like Pearlcasts.
Yep, that is a standard jump thing. Jump is very good even if you don't have a lance. Fraggle killing the White Durgan there in the basement. I guess Classy finally made his way into the Magitech factory fighting Doomgaze now, and we're seeing Doulahan on Mount Cole, I think.
I believe so.
I don't know where else you'd fight a boss on that mountain terrain. But, it's real hard to watch 4 screens at once whilst constantly talking, so...
But we're doing the best we can.
Yeah. Doing what we can. Jack Fraggle making their way out of the ancient castle. And the other 3 fighting some bosses.
So, for the curious, other strategies you can employ in the Fanatic's Tower where you can't use your fight command. I'm a particular fan of berserking my own characters in there.
That is something I very rarely have to actually go in there, but that's not something I've ever managed to do in a race. I don't find Berserk very often.
I normally look for it if I know I'm going there, just as a backup. It's either that or an Amaro.
Amaro is a valid strategy, yes. One thing I do know that's interesting with the replacement of abilities and stuff, or if you're just unaware and you walk in doing this, you can't use X magic in the Fanatic's Tower. You can only use the basic magic command.
You can't use X magic if it's natural X magic, correct? But you can if you've equipped a gem box.
Can you use it with a gem box?
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure I have.
Well then, I'll take your word on it.
So, Classy managed to get through that Doomgaze with no real problem.
Yes, at these sort of levels and with access to level 3 spells and stuff, it's going to be a much easier little stroll through here than it was for Drew at the start, who very nearly got wiped out several times on that fight. But who is now finding the last required character to get all of his dragon checks dealt with. And possibly a free paladin shield, depending on the numbers. What number would you say would be the highest number you'd be willing to deal with for a paladin shield at this point?
At the point I'm at, probably 10 would pretty much guarantee you get it before the tower with the amount of checks they've still got to do.
10 is viable to have it for Final Kafka. I don't think Drew would take that. I certainly wouldn't be sure it would be worth taking off the second Ragnarok for.
No. Do we know what the magic number is?
Oh, it's probably in here somewhere, yeah. I will do a looky-loo.
Let's see. No, it is 29. They're not going to be using that anytime soon.
No, they wouldn't be taking that number at the start.
I might consider it if I didn't have 2 weapons on everyone and I had to do Floating Continent and Magitech Factory and Serpent Trench and Lead River.
Yeah, that's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, that's the only situation I'd take that higher number.
Fraggle apparently going for some basic fights here. I guess worried about that Doomgaze Inferno Rexel Hallway of Doom. Interesting that they found so many air anchors. I just saw Grimwolf sell 2 or 3 of them. And they all went out of their way to buy one at the start.
So, taking a little look here at things they've got coming up. So, Kefka's Tower, obviously, they've got to go there. All the bosses in there are looking surprisingly defeatable. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Usually by the time you get to Kefka's Tower, the only things that are really going to stop you are Magimaster, Doomgaze, maybe Atma.
And there are none of those.
No, it does seem like they'll have a fairly easy jaunt.
We have Drew taking the bed there that I normally crash into by accident.
I do that about 1 in 3. Just either not paying attention or my controller just goes down extra because it's not great.
Yeah, I've stopped healing at the pot on the way in at this point because it's just not worth it.
So
That's how
we're
often I hit
seeing
it.
some IOs there that we saw earlier. Those are also not terribly nice enemies, but with instant death, it's not that big a deal. Jack finally making it. Why do I keep calling Fraggle Jack? I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm bad at this. I'm bad at this. I need to stop now and go.
Please don't. Don't leave me alone.
Okay, if you insist.
I insist.
All right.
So on the left we have both teams in the Magitech factory. Fraggle and Jack will be coming up to Doomgaze. Obviously Classy on the way out on those minecart. On the top right.
Another Storm Durgan for Drulith.
Yep, this is the Nash Snowfields dragon, normally an ice dragon, which I think I'd rather see than Stormy Boy here.
Storm Durgan is one of the bad ones. It's basically Dirt Durgan, Storm Durgan, Blue Durgan sometimes, and everything else is just meh. Unless it's a Doom Durgan in Final Kafka's Tower can be a problem if you run into it with only a couple people.
White dragon can be nasty if you're running Illuminas.
Yeah,
you're kind of rolling the dice.
Stop hitting it with an Illuma.
What's the fun in that?
Winning. Some people find winning fun. I don't know what they're on about, you know.
What is this winning thing of which you speak?
Whining. It's sort of like that, except the opposite.
Ah. So you're saying I should whine when I win?
Yes, get some wine and then pour it over your own head out of a giant Gatorade container.
Gao definitely has his uses, Nyan Nyan. Maybe not so much in this particular seed. Let's see what he has.
He does not have fantastic rages, and everyone else can dual wield Illuminus. I mean, Ragnaroks. So, I wouldn't be counting on Gao's.
Though, Gao having rage isn't an issue, because I believe he has Sword Tech and Natural Jump.
Oh, well then he doesn't have a fight command, which is a problem of time. If he has Jump, you can still do the Ragnarok thing, but it's not going to be as fast.
So, he doesn't have Cat Scratch in here, because commands are randomized. So just because in the vanilla game you would see your Gao with rage and be able to cat scratch your way through anything, in here, not so much. As it turns out, nobody got rage in this seed. So there's no chance.
Rizapus there, going down in one hit for Drulith.
That seemed like a very quick set of piranhas as well.
Yeah, last time I looked up there, he was on the walking screen, so that may have been one of the faster piranhas we've ever seen.
Yeah, a nice tasty show.
Taking out a presenter there in a box.
Very nice.
Don't know why, possibly looking for that offering.
Yeah, it's a tactic I sometimes use. If I know I'm going to get a Valiant Knife or a fixed dice, I will consider start hunting for Katana Souls. Or maybe even Pugs for Minervas.
Yes, valid, but in this case, they also know where they can get a definite offering. Which would be, there's an Umaro fight on Barren Falls, which yields an offering, and Umaro's, at this stage,
squishy.
30, 40 seconds.
Yeah. So, Rexol and Inferno dying on the left side of the screen.
Indeed, it's a slaughterhouse.
And Al Grimwolf's about to come face to face with his very own Senor Behemoth. I'm gonna make that stick.
I've been saying it for weeks. I was just about to say the most Mexican of all the bosses. And then
I'm not sure if that's racist or
not. That was a nice Esper. Whatever it was that Fraggle was looking at, it had life 2 on it.
Montañez 1998. This game needs a port. I'm not sure if you're aware, my friend, but this game, originally on the SNES, has ports on Game Boy Advance, the PS1, pretty much all mobile devices, and Steam. I think it's fairly covered on ports there.
What they actually need is a remake.
Oh
and
no,
I say
not
that
the
in a
R word.
disappointed voice. I mean, they did a good job with Final Fantasy VII, but I wouldn't necessarily trust them with this one.
And to be fair, they did a surprisingly good job with the PC port for this, given that most Square PC ports are a little, let's say, funky.
The PC port of this is the mobile port.
Yes.
They just changed it over, and it looks a bit weird.
But for example, you have Final Fantasy III's PC port, where if you save at the wrong point, while you're on a boat, you get stuck in the middle of the water. Or if you run from a battle or something.
You know what's a worse problem with that port? They took out the best part of that game, which is the story, which is one day 3 boys fell into a hole. And that's the whole story of that game.
Pretty much. He's not wrong.
It is one of the best stories in video game history, possibly only surpassed by The President Has Been Kidnapped by Ninjas. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president? But they tried to give it an actual story and just ruined it. But we're seeing a gold dragon go down on Drew's screen there in Mount Zozo.
Yep.
Fraggle making his way through to the final bit of the Magitech factory. And some people on some airships.
An economizer would usually be a decent reward. Maybe not here. Looks like Grimm's about to head into the factory.
I generally sell my economizers.
They have uses, like if the only decent thing you have is quick.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they're worthless, just at a certain point in the game, they stop being worthwhile. And I'd rather have the several tens of Ks. That Inferno went down very quickly for Fraggle. And Grimwolf is the final one to walk into the Magitech factory. Whilst Drew gets his Magicite reward from Mount Zozo.
Drew and Keith storming ahead here. They are down to 1 or 2 more Espers required. And 2 dragons.
2 dragons outside of Kefka's tower.
Yeah.
And everyone else kind of sitting on the same sort of numbers. Drew, very clear lead. And Fraggle's killing his dad there. Oh, Drew never found warp stones, having to walk back out of there. You'll note he's skipping chests at this point. Because he knows he's got all the stuff he needs. Those Ragnarok snow mufflers, force shields, anything else he found that would have been useful. Red caps and cat hoods were for sale.
And to be fair, I think Drew's ahead enough right now that he can probably afford a couple of walks of shame.
Oh yeah, he's fine. Also, I saw Grimwolf recently buying warp stones, and they're about 40-50k a piece, so you know,
they're not cheap.
That's 4 or 5 Ragnaroks. Which would you rather have?
Definitely the warp stones.
Oh, I mean, obviously, that's going to save you so much time in the long run.
No, seeing the warp stones at that price, I would definitely have been looking for an Esper that knows warp.
Yeah, Fraggle picking up Mog there from the Setzer Collision check.
So you can finally get Strago and go to the happy place.
Classy Badger in Nicaea there. I haven't seen anyone else go there. Not sure what he was intending to buy.
Drewlith going to smack what would normally be the Dirt Dragon in the face. Yeah, this is Dirt, isn't it here, Opera?
That is standard Dirt Dragon, yes.
Yes.
And Fraggle going up to do the Lone Wolf check. As it seems, Classy Badger is going to do Daryl's Tomb, something we haven't seen anyone else do.
And we have a Skull Dragon in the Opera House. That should be fine.
That's not a worry. If you have a full party and some reasonable equipment, the Skulldurgan is not that worrying.
Does it like Doomgaze is trying to give Grimwolf the business down in the bottom right, but he's making his way through it.
Yep. Skulldurgan basically the less dangerous version of Doomgaze. Getting killed first, giving an Aegis shield as the extra reward, which is nice. 3 dragons required for Drew, 2 espers, and we'll see if he gets an esper out of this long walk to a Durgan.
Well, let's take a little look, and he will indeed get an esper in Phoenix Cave. And then he just needs one more.
Yep, so very nearly time for the end there with Drew and Keith. Everyone else, a little bit behind, but, you know, the other 3 are in fair contention for second place.
Yeah.
And something can always happen in Kefka's Tower, so you never can be sure about your lead at this point.
And, I mean, credit to Keith here, Drew, this teammate, because he's one of our newest racers, and he's doing a very good job with his navigation.
Yes, well, we'll have to see. You know, we'll have to ask our racers later how they felt their communications went, because it seems like some teams probably having a bit of a better time getting the points across. Or it might even be some people aren't used to looking at the spoiler log. That's it's something you have to kind of learn to do, and it is set up somewhat differently now than it was the last time we had a race where you could look at the spoiler log.
Yeah, I mean,
we've gone to 0.8 and there's more options.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've personally done some practice races with various people over this week for this sort of setup with a driver and a navigator. So some people have had a lot more practice.
Yeah, that's something else too. Some people are the type who will practice the seed, who have the time to practice the seed, and some of them aren't. Yeah, I'd actually be interested in playing one of these myself the next time we have one. But it is an interesting twist on the team format.
It is. And it is a good chance for our newer runners to learn from people who've maybe been doing it a little bit longer, have a little bit more experience, and know a few tips and tricks.
Yeah, certainly, for example, bottom right, Grimwolf is basically keeping up with 2 teams of people who have been running the game essentially since it's existed. And, you know, that's probably a lot of that's on Zelfer just helping him out there. There was talk a while ago of a team race with the mentors, and this might be an easier way of doing that. We just have to advertise it ahead of time. But we are seeing 2 people almost frame for frame going into Zozo, Mount Zozo, whilst 2 other people are looking at some espers.
So don't forget, if you're in chat and wondering, you know, what on earth is going on here, feel free to pipe up with your questions and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. And if we can't answer them, come along to the Discord server, where there are people who will answer your questions, because there are people in there who know everything.
Yep. Cecil in particular, I find, is better than an FAQ. Literally any time I've ever had a question about the game, Cecil has answered it in about 20 seconds if I asked him directly instead of searching the internet.
I'm not sure what your question is there, Bedchiller.
Yes, I'm not, I don't think there is anyone named Tiamat in the standard pool of racers for this randomizer. If they're into this sort of thing, I invite you to send them towards the Discord or the website. We're always looking for new players. It's a very good randomizer. You know, and everyone's just happy to see it grow.
And it is very easy to pick up, actually. Like, I only started playing this just over a month ago, and I'm already, winning the occasional race, punching well above my weight.
Yeah, if you're willing to put in, a little bit of practice, it's not that difficult of a randomizer, and frankly, a lot of that's just going to be Final Fantasy VI is a stupidly easy game. Like vanilla Final Fantasy VI. As soon as you get level 2 spells, you have to try to make this game hard. There is some amount of added difficulty, obviously, with the randomizer, but it's not as difficult to get into as Final Fantasy 1 randomizer, let's say. The barrier to entry is pretty low. Looks like Fraggle dealt with that dragon a lot faster than Classy is.
Alright, dragon just going down on Classy screen, so everybody's staying pretty close together.
And Drew picking up an imp, which is Stray, his final Esper. We are now in go mode for Drew.
Yeah, I think we can definitely say that Drew's race here has been kind of impressive.
Yeah, what are we at? An hour 10? Could very well have a sub 130 from Drew on this, which is in a standard 710 race. Sub 130 was the time to beat to be amazing in the past. Ooh, random Ultros find in the sky for Fraggle, but this is a 9-12-8 race. So sub 130 on this would be just a stupendous time.
I mean, I did 2 practices of this flag set with Zelfa. Both of them came out around 130, so 130 is about par on this.
From our very small sample size.
Yeah.
But it does. I'd be surprised if people went, beyond 215-ish.
I mean, we have a time limit of 3 hours. We are definitely not breaching that this week.
Oh no, nobody's going that far. Frankly, people don't generally anymore, unless it's a really weird race. But we have our second Fanatics Tower up on the top left. We have somebody fighting the final boss of the Magitech Factory, bottom right. That's Grimwolf. And we'll see where Classy's going. Probably the Fanatics Tower as well. Or just the town.
A little more restocking on the old heals, I assume. Or not.
Possibly they have not purchased the Esper from the Man in the Woods. That would appear to be the case. And they now have Raiden.
So we have Fraggle on Team Fragglejack, refusing to skip leg day and making his way up the million stairs.
I believe they named themselves the Suplex Duplex.
Which is why I'm calling them Team Fragglejack.
Yeah. Another white Durgan. I did say earlier we would see a lot of the same Durgan, and this is the reason why.
Yep, and we're seeing Cyan and Shadow get absolutely bodied by those Pearlcasts. But it's fine, because Locke will be able to handle this.
No doubt. But that's what happens when you skip Fighting All the Enemies Day. And Classy selling some stuff. I have to imagine it's a pretty easy pass through the inventory in this particular seed. Is it a Ragnarok? Is it a Snow Muffler? Is it a Red Cat? Is it a Force Shield? No, sell it. Sell it. Get out of here. I don't need you.
Nah, keep the heals. Keep some of the heals.
Those X potions were for sale for what, $1,000 earlier
exactly.
in the seed? Which is pretty nice. I believe I also saw Mega Elixirs for sale at one point.
You did, but for much, much more money.
Yeah, they were several tens of Ks, but I would still pick up one. Always nice to have one to deal with Fallen One.
Yeah, one for Fallen One is usually quite handy.
Storm Durgan going down there for Fraggle. Skull Durgan coming up there for Grimwolf, and presumably going down fairly quickly.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him for long.
Okay, so what was in Nicaea or Nikia or whatever was in fact a Genji glove for
Aha.
sale, which is why we have seen people go there.
Makes sense. I often see Genji gloves there, I'm not sure why.
People just like to hide them in towns you don't have to go to.
Yeah, it's like the Opera House. It says it's randomizing the dragons, but more often than not, you're gonna find the dirt dragon there. It's weird how it works like that.
Confirmation bias is weird. So, one boss down for Drew. One Jurgen down for Grimwolf. One boss coming up for Fraggle.
And one free heal for Classy.
Delicious, delicious sparkles. Heal all wounds. Those are pretty cheap elixirs too. 15k, I'll buy a few of those.
Yeah, Franklin, you're not wrong. Pretty easy bosses rolled overall. I flicked through the log, I didn't see any goddesses. I didn't see any Magimasters. I saw a Poltergeist. I think the worst chain of bosses was Magitech Factory.
Yeah, that was the deciding factor, frankly, is a lot of people skipped those early, and Drew just went there early and then just did the chain of things that needed to be done. But we are seeing Grimwolf pick up Mog there from the collision check. So, Fraggle requires 3 Espers and some Durgans. 5, so 3 outside of Kefka's Tower. Classy requires 2 Espers and 5 Durgans outside of Kefka's Tower. And Grimwolf right behind Classy just needs a character on top of that, which they're about to get. Funbabba going down there, and the final dragon for Drew. So Fraggle will now have access to Lock.
Now it's worth noting that while both Classy and Grimwolf do have the amount or nearly the amount of characters they need to open the tower, they don't yet have the amount of characters they need to get all the dragons.
No, again, there are dragons locked behind 3 characters. The standard red dragon is in the Phoenix Cave, which is a lock check. The Storm Dragon normally is on Mount Zozo, which is a cyan check. And the Blue Dragon, I believe, is in the Ancient Castle, which is an Edgar check. Which is why we don't usually run 8 dragon races. But with the spoiler log, it becomes a lot easier to find that little bit of the scavenger hunt.
I mean, of course, you can make 8 dragon races viable because you can specifically set starting characters if you want to. So you could, say, start a race with Edgar, Cyan, and Locke and get your dragons that way.
That is what I would usually do. I have suggested to Atma, and I believe at one point he said he would decouple those dragons from the characters. But, you know, Atma does so much that one more thing that he hasn't done is fine. I'm not that worried about it. And Flame Eater boss in Kefka's Tower is not going to be a big deal. Especially not when you're throwing 8k Ragnarok swings.
I'm always a little disappointed. I'm always very disappointed when somebody doesn't feed Flame Eater flames. It's really rude, you know. All he wants is a nice snack.
Well, what if I'm all out of fire? You know, what if I ate my fire during lunch and now I don't have any left?
But you have enough burning hatred for everyone, Mr. Entity.
Or what if I traded that fire for a Go-Gurt from the other kid?
For what?
I believe Go-Gurt is like yogurt in a long plastic tube that you squeeze it out of.
Okay, we call them froobs here.
I've never heard that word. But yeah, Rexall going down again. These Ragnaroks are just carrying the race for everybody. Very easy once you have that kind of just straight physical damage combined with the occasional proc of a very strong spell.
So, coming up in about 10 minutes, we have the awkward moment where I have to try and remember which of these streams has audio I can use. I think it's Fraggle.
Just load up another window and put on Never Gonna Give You Up.
I'm not sure we want this taken down for DMCA, DCMA, one of the two.
DMCA.
Look, it's 1:20 a.m. here.
Just start singing Never Gonna Give You Up.
No, because that would let so many people in chat down. And I would never let you down.
Oh.
Are you okay over there, NT?
No! My brain hurts.
At least we have proof that you have one now?
Well, we don't really. I could just be a robot. Have I passed the Turing test?
I don't know, Putz, but I have heard that life in plastic is fantastic. Okay, Plastic Cat 157, I am new to this randomizer. Do the yellow numbers mean that each runner needs to get 12 Magicite, 9 characters, and kill 8 dragons? Yes. Those are the gatekeepers to Kefka's Tower. Once you have the amount of espers and characters you need, and the amount of dragons -2, into Kefka's Tower you go. Can't even go in with less dragons, kill the ones in there, come out, and, finish up. But that's probably a bit slow.
That would not be ideal routing in most cases. We are seeing Drulith at least 2 statues down. I believe he has 1 left, yeah, on the right side there. 4 Durgans left for Fraggle. 3 espers. Just dragons left for Classy. And a couple espers and some Durgans for Grimwolf. Whilst Drew fights some Tritalk and just throws money at the problem and gets away with it like all rich people. And another person doing their steps. Ooh! An Alexander pull against Tritalk. I don't think that's going to work. And it
is not. And it works if you want to show everybody what Alexander looks like, less so if you want to, hurt the boss.
Yes, it looks like he's going to be trying to just rely on those flare procs, I guess. I'm not sure why he stopped doing GP Rain.
I mean, flare works pretty nicely if you can get the procs.
Yeah, but that's the thing, if you can get the procs. Whereas his GP Rain was doing 3k just straight up.
That's gonna slow proceedings down there, Lot getting frozen.
Yeah, that's not ideal. And if he had been saving regularly, I would just take the reset there. 'Cause he'd be frozen. And, it's not the best.
Getting frozen in a fight like this is a good excuse to take a very quick bathroom break or refresh your drink. Because you're going to be sat there for a little while, as you can see here.
I'm just trying not to make jokes that wouldn't be allowed on the channel.
I know where your mind was there, and bad entity.
Yeah. Storm Durgan on the bottom right.
Nice.
Phoenix Cave on the top left. Dirt Durgan soon on Classy Badger. Yeah, so mostly white dragons and storm Durgans. Not a lot of variance in the Durgans today. The bosses, on the other hand, were pretty variable. I think the only ones we saw multiple times were the Ghost Train and Rexel.
Yep, Choo Choo Train definitely popped up a couple of times and never got suplexed because our runners are evil.
Well, I mean, if you see the Ghost Train, you reset and then you go everywhere you need to get Sabbath. Or
exactly.
Whoever has Blitz. And then you go fight it.
It's just the rules, Oh, apparently we had 2 dads.
Yeah. GP Rain, I guess, was only doing 2k, but,
Yeah, it really doesn't scale very well, sadly.
No, it is not a good ability, especially if the game you played just before this was Final Fantasy V, where it's one of the best abilities in the game. GP Rain in this game is just a disappointment most of the time. So it looks like he's going back to relying on the flare proc. Durgan, Skull Durgan going down on the left, Storm Durgan going down on the right, Red Durgan in the Red Durgan spot coming up top left and probably going down pretty quickly with a 10k rag swing followed by a proc. And then, of course, more rags.
See, this is something that could very easily have been rooted out, though, because knowing Tritok was there, you could have just sent in somebody who has Fire 3.
Yes, they do have access to what is in Kefka's Tower. They know, like it tells you specifically which goddess was replaced with which thing. So this is probably a failure of foresight, or just, you know, they didn't think of it.
Or they thought GP Rain would do more damage.
That is possible, although I think most runners of this game know that GP Rain's a pretty sketchy ability.
No, sketch is a pretty sketchy ability.
No, I was saying please don't make a sketch joke.
You weren't fast enough.
Oh, why did I agree to this? So, we're about to see Fraggle complete that as complete the Phoenix Cave. Grimwolf fight the Funbaba at the top of the tower, and Classy making his way out of the ancient castle as Drew goes into the final Kefka fight, which should go pretty quickly for him, though it doesn't look like he's going to get sub 130.
No, probably not, but it won't be far off.
No. I think the fastest I've personally gone through the entire final Kefka is about 8 minutes. And that's quite quick. It is a 4-tier boss. There's lots of things to kill. Bad things can happen even if you're a high level.
Yeah, I've had it down at 6 or 7 before, but that's with 8 Illuminus, so...
That's ludicrous. Why didn't you send me that seed instead of your terrible ones?
Well, if you want a nice seed, definitely check out the async I have running right now.
Maybe I will do that. But yeah, I don't foresee any problems for Drew as long as he is paying attention. Flame Eater going down for Classy. Funbaba taking some damage there. On the right bottom, Grimwolf and Fraggle checking out what this merchant has for sale before talking to that other merchant who doesn't have anything for sale.
Yeah, Fraggle and Jack very close to going into the tower right now.
Yeah, they picked up quite a bit. They struggled at the start a lot with that Opera House, and not going in to buy those Ragnaroks early like most of the other people did. But aside from that, they've gained a fair turn of speed.
Indeed.
Classy just needs 3 Durgans.
And is 1 carrot short because the minimum was 10.
Ah, yes, he still needs to find Locke. Grimwolf, 4 Durgans, Locke, and 2 Espers. And Fraggle just that 1 Durgan and that 1 Esper. As Drulith finds his way to Tier 2 of Final Kefka. And with that air anchor, which I don't think he even used on the first tier. I think he just hit things.
Yeah, that's the viable strat, just smacking things until they fall over.
Interesting that he's just trying not to use that air anchor. He really doesn't want to go into the tools menu. Probably because he's waiting for that quick.
I think you'll find that his characters have equipped all of the tools that they need.
Yeah, and they're mostly just sharp things.
Yes. Sharp, pointy things that auto-crit.
Yeah. And I think this is the last person who has gone to the Opera House. Well, I'm not sure if Grimwolf did or not.
I believe so?
Yeah, what is going on Grimwolf's thing?
I believe someone forgot to turn an overlay off.
That is a possibility.
And for the record, it was not me.
You done a great job.
There's a first time for everything.
And Grimwolf slowly walking down to Fanatic's tower singing a song. As Fraggle fights a Skull Durgan, and Classy Badger fights one of the many white Durgans.
Other Durgans are available. Just not in this seed.
Not in shops. You have to order them special.
Ah, is that an Amazon job, do you think?
No, it's like it's an Alibaba. You gotta get them knockoff dragons.
Though, on the subject of Amazon, a quick plug on behalf of the Randomania folk. If you happen to have your Prime sub lying around and you want to put it to good use, why not support the Randomania channel and help keep things like this happening?
Yep. I don't know how that works. But, Tier 3 for Drulith, as Grimwolf does the standard not walking downstairs correctly maneuvers.
Stairs are hard, okay?
Yeah, no, they're confusing. Classy making his way out of the ancient cave, doing some routing on that cave. It was a little weird for me. And Fraggle going for Kefka's Tower.
Yep, could be very nearly done here now.
Yeah.
The bosses in Kefka's Tower are a joke, really? Except Tritok.
With the setup they have, yeah. Tritok's the only time sink really there, as Drulith dodges those calmnesses with his dodginess and moves on to final Kefka.
Alrighty, here we go.
Yep. 2 Durgans left for Classy, 2 Espers, 1 character, although they do seem to have lock. So, yeah, 10 is the required number, technically. And 4 Durgans there. Fraggle just needs the Durgans in the tower, and Drulith's about to finish this. And as long as he does his math correctly, another Pallador use, oddly.
Dodging the Fallen one, that is a 200 IQ play right there.
That is an interesting thing to do, yes. That's 2 Pallador uses in one stream, not super common. Also, I guess Edgar must have had attacks queued up. I was confused as to why he jumped and then attacked twice.
Ooh, eating the Ultima though. Not quite enough damage there to finish it, which I'm sure is what he was hoping
It'll be
for.
fine, it's just one more whack. Yeah, when everyone in your party can tank an Ultima, you know you're pretty okay.
And there we go, GG's to Drulith and Keith McRocks on winning this week's weekly community race.
Yes, let us see if we can get them in for an interview. And while that's being worked out, a Durgan in the Ice Durgan spot for Grimwolf. Classy making his way up to the similar place, and Fraggle making his way through Kefka's Tower. So we have joining us now Drulith and Keith. GG's on that first place win there.
Indeed, welcome and GG's folks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How did we find it today?
Easy.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. There wasn't a lot of heavy bosses really anywhere.
No, outside of the Magitech Factory, the bosses were pretty light. You were the very first to go into the Magitech Factory by quite a while. Did you just feel that Gambit was worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of I was going through the character gating, and then Drew, based on the fact that we had to do it, he wanted to go sooner than later. So figured, yeah.
No, well, it certainly worked out for you. It was at least another 30, 40 minutes before anyone else went in there, but you did struggle with Doomgaze.
Yeah, but like it's Doomgaze.
Yeah, I mean, Doomgaze is always going to be a bit of a problem.
You must-
How did you find the format? How did you find the communication and stuff?
It was fun, and I mean, like, it's hectic at first, but then there's it's basically just about figuring out what to do next. But once you figure it out, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, once you get going, it's kind of easy because then basically as he's going, I'm just routing out all the options, mainly for the espers because we got the characters, and then
Yeah.
he gets an idea in his head of I'm looking for, he's looking ahead of armor or something, and then I'll look it up, and it's easy because we have plenty of time. So
Right, so you guys seem to communicate pretty well. You were pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just honed in on the characters, and then, we found the Ragnaroks for 10 grand, so we were like, yeah, we're definitely going out our way for that. And then Genji gloves were there too. And so I was like, okay, we're done with offense. And then I found like some good armor. I'm like, all right, we're done with armor, done with magic, which almost bit us, but it ended up working out. Just because, like, after I was like, okay, I have all the power I need to beat Kefka, like, let's just go. And then we need Locke, so we had to go through this little rabbit hole. But other than that, it's just get the fastest espers, beat all the dragons. All the dragons had espers along the way, so that made things a little easier too.
So, one
Yeah.
big question I have. So, knowing that Tritok was coming up in one of those statue locations, how come you didn't send a magic caster up there?
Well, we didn't really realize until I was already in the tower.
Ah, fair
the
enough.
tower had started, and then I brought it up again, and we were like,
Well, Tritalk usually just like, with the way I usually play, I just always have something for Tritalk. It just never really occurred to me that I wouldn't this time.
Yep, no rods for you.
Well, it's
Well, we
not
used
just
those-
rods even. It's fire magic in particular, or like drill, or blitz, or throw, or anything really. And coin toss works. It's just
It's not a good ability.
and I ran out of money.
and then we got frozen for like a minute or two.
Yeah, that seemed to be the biggest snag in your whole run, was just that one fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was one other fight that I felt went bad. I think it was Fnatic's Tower. We had the same problem where we're like, we
From
didn't
Baba.
we didn't have any magic, and we were like, oh, I forgot, we don't get to use anything but magic here.
Yeah, I think it took Gao into there, and Gao doesn't even have a magic command in there.
Yeah, that also
Yeah.
threw me off of it. I was like, oh wait, this guy can't even cast magic.
However, you did have a Palador.
Yeah, Palador worked.
Palador
pretty
was
well.
clutch there, yeah.
Yeah, you actually used Palador twice this seed, both in very smart
Well,
plays.
Palador's broken because, well, first of all, everybody who like gets jumps, like their ATB freezes, but like it doesn't ever go back to 0 when they land. And the person who casts Palador for whatever reason, their ATB freezes and never goes back to 0. So like it's just really good. It's just a free turn where you get free jump damage. So if you're just trying to deal as much damage as you can in one turn, Palador's the go-to. But it's not necessarily the fastest.
Meanwhile-
It's a way to do physical damage in Fnatic's Tower as well.
Yeah, and it did get you out of the way of that fallen one as well, which was
Yeah.
Oh yeah, new technique, fallen one skip.
yeah. And I noticed when Edgar landed, he immediately attacked twice, and I was like, "That's not how Palador works, is it?" And then I was like,
He
"Oh,
did it.
you just
Lock-
queued it up before."
Locke did it, yeah, and then Locke did it, and then Sabin like missed on his last one, and then we had the ultimate.
Yeah, but you tanked that, and
The funny thing was, I was gonna end it with Palador as like a sort of style finish, but then I was like, actually, if we do that, then we risk getting hit by multiple ultimas. So I decided against it, and just seeing the one ultima, maybe that was a good call.
I guess so.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't have taken another one.
Anyway, we do have Fraggle and Jack on the last boss rush before final Kefka. They made it through all of their dragons now, so another ending very soon.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on the format or the race or anything, guys?
Just super fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a different experience to be on the other end. You know, to just skimming and control Fing all over the place and writing things down on paper and trying to count to 12 like 5 times.
Control F was clutch. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, we got Gao. Oh, there's an Esper. Okay, where's the dried meat? Control F. Oh, you're actually right in the place where it's at.
We were
Sweet.
super sad when I opened it up and we found out that slot was just gone.
Oh, yeah, before the race, we were like, you know what? We can route in reverse Joker Doom, because I'm down for that. But it ends up, slot's not even in the seed.
Well,
how sad for you.
Yeah, well, I think the dual Ragnaroks on 4 characters is faster anyway.
That was such a ridiculous start.
Well, thank
Had to
you.
do it. Just had to do it. Like, why not?
Thank you very much for coming in today and running this seed, and thank you for coming for this chat. And GG's on the win.
Yep, thanks. Thanks
Thanks.
to Restream. Thanks, Atmo. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Yeah. Congrats, guys. So we have Fraggle just finishing up his first goddess statue there. Grimwolf seemingly still looking in monster in a boxes for some reason. And Classy fighting from Baba on the tower.
Because why not? Everybody needs a little Incredible Hulk in their life.
I prefer the Credible Hulk.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that where it is.
Okay, it's gotta be bad if you are passing up on it.
We're just gonna put that on the floor and we're gonna forget about it. Just brush it into a corner.
Oh, it's just gonna show up when you move and you push the couch out of the way, and then you gotta deal with it sometime.
Yeah, but that's a problem for future me. Or you could
But
say it's a
you're
problem for
already
future
future you.
future. Haha.
2 statues down for Fraggle, 1 Durgan down for Grimwolf.
Yep.
Stair Day for Classy.
Very close to go mode there for
1
Grimwolf.
Durgan remaining.
But classy, sorry.
Yep. 2 Durgans remaining for Grimwolf, and that was probably one of them.
More than likely.
Economizer play for some reason on Edgar there. Must be going for the quick strats.
Well, if it's Tritok coming up in a second. Wait, no.
Tritok was on the right side, I believe.
Hmm.
But we'll see what Fraggle and Jack's plan is for that. We did apparently find a Minerva at some point. But yeah, I'd be very happy in any game with Ragnarok, Minerva, Genji Helm.
Yeah, I'd be
Hero.
okay with that.
Like, that's gonna get you through pretty much anything.
Indeed.
Another person making that same move through the monster in a box room in the ancient cave. I wonder if that's just faster than the way I usually do it. Because most racers don't make weird moves, like multiple racers doing the same thing. I'll have to look into that later.
Well, we've got Classy heading on into the Phoenix Cave to take down his last pre-tower Dargon.
Yeah, and Fraggle just throwing fire 3s, which is a slightly better plan than money.
Yes. Or Ragnaroks.
Little bit of a faster kill there. Just a scooch. It's a scooch. And Phoenix Cave for Classy, just, ooh, actually stopping to put the spikes down. More than once. That's, not a common move in a race like this.
No, I mean, it can be useful if you don't have any healing items and you know you need to kill the dragon.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's pointless, but most people will just take the damage most of the time.
Hmm.
Worst case scenario for me is usually I have to stop and use some sleeping bags.
And I occasionally make the single character in Party 2 dance on the spikes just because I can.
You're a cruel man.
Yes,
I
I
suspect
am.
that's why your jokes are so bad. You enjoy watching people suffer.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing people get punished. That one got a laugh. I'm happy now. Op success.
Oh God, that was a joke. I thought that was just a comment. There was a terrible joke buried in that, you horrible man. That was like a fishing lure.
That was worth staying up until 2 AM for on its own.
Ah. Moving
So-
on.
Fraggle and Jack heading into the final battle now.
Yep. Grimwolf about to fight a Durgan. Classy about to fight a Durgan.
And I
Do you
can
mind
hear
if
the
I
last...
leave and vomit? The format here, Kovalkin, is a bit of a play on the two-player team mode. But in this case, one racer is the navigator and gets access to the spoiler log, which contains as much information about a seed as is available. And they are watching the other players stream and talking with them to direct them through the seed in the most efficient or beneficent way possible.
So, just a quick note so nobody in the chat gets shocked when it happens. After Fraggle has finished his final fight, we will not be having any more game audio. Instead, we'll be switching over to a playlist of Final Fantasy VI related music. That's because the other streams will have lots of chatter on them, and you don't need to hit that.
No, it will become swiftly confusing.
Yes,
And quite possibly,
bannable.
oh, interesting. Grimwolf just warping out. Not getting the final thing. I guess they don't need anything else. They have an extra Esper already. Just
Yeah.
the one Durgan remaining.
They're good to go, pretty much.
Yep, Fraggle moving on to tier 2. Classy plugging away at that dragon with Meteor for some reason.
So, I'd say pretty fairly we can just about tell what order everybody's going to finish in, unless something goes catastrophically wrong in Kefka's Tower.
It can. I have on tier 2 before had 3 people turned into zombies and the other person frozen. And that was a reset.
The game was just trying to tell you to chill out, man.
How much dead air do I have to leave for you to understand the disregard I have for that sentence?
I don't know, another 2 hours?
I'll get my clock.
Listen, right, people asked me to commentate when they heard the puns. You'll get what you deserve.
I don't deserve this. No, nobody deserves this.
Wow.
Have you considered getting a job as a tormentor demon in hell?
I have, but the pay sucks.
The hours probably aren't great either. I mean, eternity? It's a lot of hours.
I mean, you got good job security, though.
I guess so.
There we go, that's the spirit from Cambo2124 there. Don't feel blue, mystery.
No, I usually feel a shade of whitish pinkish. And Fraggle's fighting Kefka. Classy's going to Kefka's tower. Grimwolf about to fight a Durgan. I'm going with that's the theme song for this randomizer forever now.
Well, okay. And where can we buy this? All good record stores?
Bandcamp.
Okay.
My MySpace page.
Nice.
Yep, those are the only two places. They won't let me put it on the iTunes store.
And anyone in chat who actually knows what a MySpace is? How old do you feel right now?
Yeah. It sucked. Bandcamp, on the other hand, still exists.
Very much.
Yep. Still definitely a thing. But Fenrir coming out on Fraggle to defend against that calmness. Classy just making his way into Kefka's Tower. I've already forgotten the theme song. Good thing it's recorded forever on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, there's not long left in this race now. I'd say at most half an hour, and that's worst case scenario for Grim and Zelfa.
Yeah, they just need to kill this one Durgan, warp out, and get through KT, so
Yeah, go
not much to worry about there.
go smash some very simple bosses and a couple of dragons who will not put up a defense.
Yeah, a blues train a-coming for Fraggle.
Choo choo.
Choo choo chiboogie?
Sure.
Okay. And final Durgan.
And final
Outside of
Kefka.
KT. Hey, quit stealing my melodies. You owe me, like, royalties, man.
I'm paying you in puns.
No, I want, like, a dukedom. Or, like, then to change my name to Earl.
I could grant you the Duchy of Punjab.
I don't think that's a real duchy, man.
It's a real place, the real region. Just go and invade and make it a duchy, you know?
Oh yeah, I'll invade with my army of just... I'll just hold you in front of me, and you can just spout things out of your mouth, and the enemy will just run away.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Well, that's the plan. Fraggle,
Okay.
fighting, final, Kefka.
Here's a fallen
Classy.
one. What's the recovery going to be?
Killing some cranes. And Grimwolf apparently finishing.
Well, it looks very much like Fraggle's attempt to heal a fallen one involves stabbing Kefka a lot.
That's how it works, right?
Until you mess up and get ultimate, which I really hope we don't see here, because that's going to be bad.
Yeah, and that's difficult to predict with proc weapons as well. You can't guarantee the amount of damage you're going to do. I'm
Those
interested in the
misses?
fact that Grimwolf has opted not to warp out. We do know they have warp stones.
I don't remember which Esper's here. It might be worth it to them for the final battle, maybe.
Perhaps.
And there we go. Fraggle finishing second place.
We'll see if we can get Fraggle and Jack in for interviews.
So GG's.
And apparently now we'll be moving on to stock music. As Classy and Boo make their way through Kefka's Tower, and Grimwolf finally here in go mode. We do have Jack in the booth with us here at this point, and I'll be dragging Fraggle in. Welcome, guys. Good job on the game, GG's, etc.
Thank you.
Yep, GG's.
So, how did you find that race? What did you think of the format?
The format was a lot of fun. Personally, I really like these more social formats where you have a team and you talk to each other. But, you know, I'm a very social creature, so I think that's to be expected. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, basically what Jack said, it was good to have someone to bounce ideas off. Like, Jack had the main plan, and I'd be like, what about this, Jack? Or is this worth looking at? Just seeing how the ideas paired up.
Right.
And
I do have one question for Jack. Did you not Ctrl F Ragnarok at any point? Because you guys got the Ragnaroks about 20 or 30 minutes behind everyone else.
The reason for that is entirely my bad. It's a case of me kind of forgetting that money would be more plentiful than usual because of the completely random buy and sell prices.
Yeah.
So we could have had those a lot earlier, and even so, we weren't doing too bad without them. The main thing that slowed us down were mostly problems with the rat paddles in the opera early on. And
Yeah.
The Opera House held you back for a while. After that, you swiftly made your way into second place.
Yeah, we were cruising from there. I had a good plan, and Fraggle executed well from there. Like, it's really our early game that kept us from making it a closer race for first place. Like, I don't know what Drew and Keith did, but an hour 33 on an 8 Dragons race is pretty good.
Drew and Keith immediately went and bought Genji gloves and Ragnaroks, and then did the Magitech Factory about 30 minutes before anyone else tried it.
That's pretty bold.
That's one of the only bad
maybe we were playing a little too conservative, but they're 3 of the nastiest bosses in the game were just hanging out in Magitech Factory. So our plan was to build up a little bit of power before tackling those.
So
Yeah, Drew-
I'm curious here. One thing I do want to ask. I know you mentioned you had troubles with those rat packs in the Opera House. Did you at any point try to run from them?
Yeah.
Were they
Fraggle said
unfleeable?
that we couldn't escape from
I tried to run, and I also even tried to warp stone, and I couldn't escape.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. I just wasn't sure if you'd tried it or not, because obviously we have the new thing where you
No.
can actually escape for a lot of encounters.
Yeah, that was the first thing I tried after we got through the first pack to get those initial levels.
That
In
explains a
the
lot
second
then.
pack, it was, oh, we can't run. Crap.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, I think if you had realized that the money was random, you probably would have had Ragnaroks for trying that out, and you would have had a lot of an easier time with it.
Yeah.
Chances are good, yeah. Again, that's my bad. I'm still pretty happy with us getting a second place, and for how smooth pretty much everything was once we got through the Opera House there. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous against Final Kefka when we had some unblinded misses there, but our plan was basically once we got Fenrir up in Tier 3 to hold A until the game was over.
It's a
But
valid
then
strategy.
a couple of trains came out, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
interesting.
You
Let
were
that
very
boost train
brave.
coming.
You were very brave in Tier 4, risking the Ultima at the end there.
The
There's an
ultimate,
ultimate at the end?
the ultimate counter from Kefka can only happen if he's under about 10,000 hit points. Like
Yeah,
the way that Kefka's script works, like our plan was to just hold A. Our first round of attacks would get off before his because your ATB is full at the start of the fight. That would do anywhere between like 40 to 50,000 damage right there. So he wouldn't even use Fallen One. He'd just start charging for Goner because he's programmed to do that when he's at half health. And then we'd just keep holding A and finish him off before Goner could get off. Fraggle had to get a little creative there, and I personally thought it was a little bold to just keep swinging away at the 1 HP there, especially after we saw some of those misses without blind, but it got done, so it's good.
It took 6 minutes to go from Tier 1 to Crack Boom. So
Yeah,
even if we wasn't
that was one of the
hit the
fastest
Goner.
final battles I've ever seen without like reverse Joker Doom shenanigans, and
Yeah.
that even had some train slowing us down.
Double Ragnarok on every character is a pretty sure way to get every racer basically gliding through that Final Kefka fight. And if you can count the numbers for Final Kefka, then you're pretty much fine if you're paying attention.
But where's
Exactly.
the fun in paying attention to the numbers?
What, you don't want to be an accountant?
No?
So,
Well, I
Quick.
don't know what to tell you.
quick update on the other runners. We have Classy and Boo just about to come up to the final fight. And Grimwolf and Zelpha are 1 dragon and 4 bosses away.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
good.
do you guys
Yeah.
have anything else to add?
Let's go, Blue Jays.
Ooh, Jack.
Other birds are available.
Blame Rav.
Alright, thanks for coming in, guys. And once again, thank you very much for coming out and testing out this flag set. I'm glad you enjoyed yourselves, and GG on the finish.
Later.
Thank you.
potatoes.
Boo Jack.
That's why I wanted them on a team! Okay, so, both people in Final Kefka's Tower. 1 on the switches at the end, 1 just coming up to the Native Inferno fight. And, yeah.
No, Team 3 went through first on Grimwolf's screen, so Inferno's actually down, along with the Tier 3, the Team 3 dragon. It's just Squad 2's dragon to go, and then the 4 bosses.
Alrighty then. I guess since we've talked through this bit before, I guess it's a good time to big up the rando and the community. This is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer. It's very, very good. You should try it. Maybe try it. I'd suggest you try it.
Yeah, you should maybe follow that Discord link in chat and
Yeah.
come check it out.
Yeah, join the Discord. There's lots of friendly people willing to help you out. We have lots of community races once a week. There's a lot of async stuff as well going on, Seeds of the Week, etc. It's a real fun time. It's one of the better randomizers I've played, and Atma has done an amazing job. Continues to push out updates and stuff, and is very willing to listen to feedback, which is an amazing thing in a developer.
And we also have some people who make little tools. You know, I don't think you really need a tracker for this game. It's a bit naff, but Drew made one anyway.
Yeah, there's also the emo tracker for it. There are options. There's lots of guides. People just like the thing. They want people involved, and they're willing to do whatever they think is helpful to get people in. So, come on by.
Indeed. And don't forget, you can follow our wonderful runners, and our wonderful tracker, and our passable commentators if you wish to. Don't forget to also follow the navigators, who we can't put in chat with a magic bot command, but you can find their names on the screen.
Yeah. They're all good peoples, except for maybe myself and Future Force. Our quality should have been demonstrated over the past 2 hours.
Yes.
But we do have 2 runners remaining for once, because this is 8 people in these 4 races, 4 slots of racers. So for once, we don't actually have people in the background. There's usually a bunch of racers just doing this off stream. But these are the only 4 teams we have today, which is interesting.
I mean, 8 runners is a fairly normal amount for a race like this. It's only because we're like this, where only 4 of them are actually playing the game.
Oh yes, that was my point. The pool of runners has been essentially halved by the format.
But I'm sure next week there'll be something much more normal.
Yes, we usually... It's usually once every 2 or 3 weeks we do something a little out of the ordinary. So next week will probably be a more standard race. But even those are fun, and with the new 0.8 stuff, a lot of people still aren't necessarily used to, shuffled commands, etc. So even that, a normal race of 0.8 is kind of a new experience for a lot of people.
And if you're on the Discord, there is almost always an asynchronous race, which means you can complete it whenever you're free and able. Almost always an asynchronous race going, which you can use to sharpen your teeth.
Yeah, there's a seed of the week every week, and there's always people making their own little races, either testing settings or just having some fun. So, there's always something to do where you won't necessarily be on your own. You can talk to other people about it, whatever.
Exactly, and obviously there's nothing stopping you just going up to another runner and saying, hey, I like you, race me.
Exactly. Or, if you're Future Force, I made this terrible seed, let me watch you suffer.
That is also very fun.
Yeah, so we got a Guardian fight on Grimwolf's side. Again, none of these Kefka's Tower bosses were of any particular stopping power aside from Tritalk, who, as we saw with Drew, if you didn't plan for it, if you didn't look at the spoiler log, could cause a bit of a lag, a bit of a delay. But
Meanwhile, our music RNG has showed up pretty nicely because we have Dancing Mad playing, and we're just heading into the final battle. Perfect, right?
fancy! It's almost like we know what we're doing.
No, it's a shuffled playlist. It is completely random, just like this race.
It's almost like we have no idea what we're doing.
And it's the Black Mages version, which means it's the best version.
Nobuo Uematsu was real good at music.
Yes, he is.
Although I did learn last year, maybe the year before, he has officially retired from writing music composing due to health issues. So
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
yeah, it's unfortunate but true. Not likely to hear anything new from that man in the future.
That's a shame.
Yep. He has written some of the best game music I've ever heard, and he has earned himself the nickname the Beethoven of video game composition.
Yeah,
So-
for me it's basically him and I believe it's Harry Gregson Williams who does the Metal Gear Solid music, another outstanding composer.
I have not played enough Metal Gear Solid to comment on that.
Really?
I do know that Nobuo Uematsu's favorite composer in video games is, I can't remember his name. I'm very bad at remembering Japanese names. But it's the guy that does the music for Dark Souls, which is interesting because Dark Souls does not have a lot of music in it. It's basically just boss fights and ambience.
And there we have, while Final Kefka's first phase is getting bodied, Ravlin dropping the knowledge in chat.
Yes. Oh, he did do something for Final Fantasy VII. That's nice.
Yes, indeed.
And in chat, people are talking about the Doom soundtrack. If they mean the Doom 2016 soundtrack, I do have an interesting tidbit about that, which is that the guy in charge of composition for that went out of his way to put like pentagrams and stuff in the waveforms of the soundtrack, which is A, stupidly hard to do, and B, about right.
Pretty
For
cool.
Yeah. If they're talking about original Doom, basically he just stole all the music.
So,
But it's still a
Odin.
real good soundtrack.
Odin coming out to take out tools on phase 2 of Kefka for Classy MB. Useful tactic when it
Yes.
hits. And we have tentacles in this Japanese-made game on the bottom right. Take from that what you will.
I took nothing. I stopped paying attention to you hours ago.
Wow. It's great to have such awesome support from the rest of the tech crew, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, we're a big, happy family. And like all happy families, we never have arguments or dislike each other.
It's alright, because we're planning to play a couple of rounds of Among Us after this, and somebody's getting murdered first.
Yeah. It's gonna be Jack, I mean, let's be honest. But, final Kefka, ooh! Best doggo. a rare outing. To little effect, because I believe he counts as a ground attack or something.
I believe Wildfang is either a ground attack or it can only hit things that aren't immune to instant death, because I see it miss all the bosses.
It does hit a bunch of them, but I don't see it come out very often in these races anyway, because we mostly only fight bosses, and not a lot of the bosses have basic physical attacks, which is the only way that Interceptor will come out.
But it doesn't matter how often we see it, because we all know Interceptor is in fact the goodest boy.
Yep. Unless it's Fenrir.
Nah, Interceptor's better than Fenrir because Interceptor attacks and protects.
Yeah, it doesn't stop you getting calmness. Fenrir is the angriest dog.
I mean, you say that, but doesn't Interceptor work by blocking physical attacks? So I think, strictly speaking, Interceptor could block calmness.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't think that's ever come up in my researching / knowledge / whatever of this game. We should ask Cecil Fraggle. Cecil is better than an FAQ, as I have said many times before.
We should ask that right now.
So, Tier 3 coming up for Classy. And Grim Wolf.
And seizure warning on the bottom right because somebody's poisoned.
Yep. Epilepsy warning, like a minute
20
ago.
seconds ago, yep. That's a bit of an oof on the bottom left. That whirlwind hit hard on 2 characters. You don't normally see it hit that many.
Not good. And Drew, I'm fairly certain from Cecil bringing this up before, it checks Shadow's standard block and then checks Interceptor. So it's a bit more complicated than that, but I don't... again, we'll just ask Cecil.
I mean, Jack, why not put a gem box on Shadow if you know you're going to be fire 3ing your way through Dry Top? Just speeds it up a little bit.
Yeah. More fast fire equals more better fire.
I'm not sure whether it's faster than throwing money at your problems, though. Drew, do you know?
I'm pretty sure he does. I think he has a pretty good idea how fast money gets you out of that particular problem.
Yes, indeed.
And final Kefka coming up for Classy. As Tri-Top goes down for Grimwolf.
Yeah, we'll be done here pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, unless something goes very, very wrong. Certainly sub 225 is very likely for everyone.
Yes.
But if you're not paying attention, Final Kefka can just Ultima wipe you, although with 8k health on that Shadow, not terribly likely.
Yeah, I think he might survive with a couple of hit points, if he's lucky.
He might get through, we'll see. And Grimwolf about to move into Final Kefka himself.
Yeah, both of our remaining teams on Final Kefka at the same time, you know? It's not bad.
No, it's outside of... I guess there's about as much difference between Drew and Fraggle as there is between Fraggle and these two. I keep getting confused by that overlay thing that's happening on Grimwolf's screen. Like, what's that bug? I've never seen that before.
Yeah. I think a discrete DM might be required at the end of this.
Indeed. Did someone just miss with a Ragnarok?
Very possibly.
They must be out of MP, though. I thought auto crit meant auto hit.
And there we go. Classy and Brew are done. Fantastic work from them.
Yeah, GG's to them. Let's see if we can get interviews. As we watch our final racer make their way through Final Kefka.
Indeedy.
And we'll see if this person opts to use that air anchor that most other racers have been avoiding. We do have Boo and Classy joining us now in the quote-unquote booth. GG's, fellas.
GG.
Thank you.
So how did you find that? What did you think of the format, etc.?
I got really, really lucky having Boo as my navigator because he knew right away, okay, we're Control F looking for Ragnarok's, Genji gloves, and basically all the really good stuff that I probably would have forgot to look for right away.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to put on the list, is Lumina's, Ragnarok's, Genji gloves offerings, Minerva's, all of the end-game gear.
Yeah, I enjoyed the format. It was fun navigating, although we had an issue with lag. We had a big delay on the stream, so I would say, "Oh, go left here," and that was a terrible idea. But other than that, it went pretty smoothly. Except we forgot at the end that we needed that one more dragon, so we had to kind of alter our route a little bit because of that little snafu. But other than that, not too bad.
Yeah, I'm really interested in how Drulith got a 133 on this, though, because I felt like we were moving pretty quick, but when I saw that time, I was like, that was ridiculous.
What Drew and Keith did was immediately get 6 Ragnaroks and 3 Genji gloves, and then go to the Magitech Factory immediately, whereas every other team put off the Magitech Factory for about another 30-40 minutes.
That makes sense.
Yep, we avoided that one for a good while until we thought we were good and ready.
So, Boo, you're the first one I've had the chance to ask this to. I know that you were using me for it. You've had some practice this week with the navigation. Do you feel like that helped at all tonight?
Yeah, although, I knew a little bit more of what to look for and got a little bit more familiar with the spoiler log, which I had never looked at the new one until just the other day. But I found with no advanced prep time, like even a couple minutes, I was kind of scrambling to, because even while he's collecting treasure, I'm trying to find what items we can buy, and then going from check to check to check, it's, that rapid pace is a little, can get a little hectic, and you can make some bad decisions if you don't think it all the checks through. If you see a good one and say, oh, that looks great, let's go do that one. It might have had something good at the end, but it might not have been optimal. So I'm not advocating for more time. I like the hectic nature of it, but the practice need more practice. That's all.
And I'll say I got really lucky because I have never actually really looked at a spoiler log too often, because this monkey brain doesn't like to do that. So when I realized, oh, that's what the navigator did, I was really quickly like, nope, I'm monkey brain. Let me be the driver.
Well, fair enough. It did seem to get you through pretty well with Boo navigating for you, so that's good. I have an alarm going off. I should probably turn that off.
Yeah, you should attend to that. Meanwhile,
we taught me a lot of fun things tonight too, so that was always good.
Meanwhile, we have Grimwolf and Zelfa on phase 2 of the final fight, so they won't be far behind you.
Awesome. So I did just want to put this out there while we have people watching. So Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide did get accepted into RPG Ragnarok, which is a charity streaming event hosted by the RPG Valkyries. Boo and myself are actually going to be the runners for that, and we are going to have Jackamus and Ravelin Bay doing the commentary for that. And I believe we are the first Saturday, so I believe that is October, I believe it's the 27th.
I think we're on Sunday.
Are we on the Sunday? I thought we're either Saturday or Sunday. No, we're the first day, so it's Sunday. Yep. So come out, watch us race this, kind of show off the game, raise some money for charity. I believe we are in the evening, October 25th.
Okay.
Did you mention which charity you're running for? I was out for.
I had it. I don't have it off the top of my head. Let me see if I can hop over. If I change Discord channels, does it kick me out of this call?
I can drag you back in.
If you change text channel, it doesn't. If you change voice channel, it does.
Okay, not changing voice channel. Let me go find where it is. We are going to be running for... If I can find it.
Sandstorms? You're running for Sandstorms?
Take.org, a mental health nonprofit.
That's what it is.
Ah,
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yep. So a great group of people who are hosting that event. Come out and watch us.
All right, good to know, fellas. You got anything else to add here?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, GG's to everybody. That was fun. Let's do it again.
Yep,
sometime.
thanks for coming out. Thanks for trying out this new race format. I hope you had fun, and GG's on finishing.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Later.
See ya. Alright, so we have Grimwolf and Zelfa on phase 3 of the final battle now. Get through this, and it's pretty much home free.
Yeah, not a lot to stop them. As usual, once you get to Final Kafka, if you've got the equipment, it's more a gear check than it is a level check, is a thing I usually say.
Yeah.
And as long as you're paying attention and Tier 2 doesn't completely mess with you, you're usually fine.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's a gear check so much as an offensive check, because you don't really need much defense in the final phase.
10 hits can do a crazy amount of damage if you don't have good defense.
I didn't know phase 4 could use 10 hits.
I was talking about phase 2.
I'm talking about the final battle.
Oh, the final battle is just, do you have a Mega Elixir or another way to heal, and do you have damage? Because outside of Goner, which it always surprises me on the occasions I get hit by it, how little damage Goner tends to do.
Okay, I'm very surprised by what I just saw there, though. It looks like Grim and Zelfa's team just killed Sleep before Girl, and that is very unusual.
I was unfortunately momentarily looking the other way, so I didn't check it. But yeah, that's not how you want to do it, because Girl will res Sleep if you do that. And they have the time to do so.
Hmm.
And we do have two of the better runners in chat both saying that phase 2 is the worst. And
Yeah.
I do pretty much agree with them, unless you have no way to block combat.
Yeah, but if you have no way to block Calmness, I'm not sure you should be in the tower, really.
Sometimes you just don't find it.
I mean, you have a lot of options.
You got 4?
Fenrir,
Fenrir, Golem, Phantom, Palador, if you're really paying attention.
Life 3 will neutralize it, as will very good Evade.
Yeah. But, generally, it is I mean, it's an instant death, whereas phase 2 is maybe something bad will happen. So, yeah, phase 2 is still pretty much the worst, but phase 3 can be a problem.
And there
in
we
certain
go! Grim and Zelfa pulling in 2:22.12, and that is the final finish for the race. Let's get him in here,
Yay,
shall we?
See if the interviews are upcoming. And, yeah. Pretty good race overall, I would say, certainly for the first time doing this format. It seemed like everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's a couple of refinements we can make, a couple of extra tips we can give for next time, like stream to your navigator in Discord if you can, so there's no delay.
Ideally, although some people probably aren't going to have the bandwidth to do that. But yes, that would be... Certainly Boo was saying that they were having some delay issues with specific instructions, etc. But let's pull these people in and have a little chat with our runners.
GG's!
Thank you very much. First race.
Yeah, so I know it's your first race. Was it your first, like, are you including asyncs and stuff in that?
I'm including anything. First time I've done a race in anything.
Oh, well, very good job. How did you find it having Zelfer kind of giving you advice and stuff?
I'm pretty sure he rocked it there.
All right, and Zelfer, how did you find the navigator role?
Oh, well, I'm not used to the navigator role, but it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. I kept on focusing on like specific things to do, and then I'd like another thing I was supposed to look up that might have been helpful. I would slip to the side, but yeah, I had a lot of fun, and Grimwolf was absolutely great racing and just following suggestions and doing his own thing too. It worked out good.
Yeah, I mean, for a first race to finish basically on par with one of the other finalists who has, a very good standard runner with them is pretty impressive. So, good job on that, Grim.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks. Could not literally have done it without Zelfer, so.
Well, what did you guys think of the format in general?
I liked it.
I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. Hopefully we do these kind of things more often in the future. It's just something different.
Yeah.
I'm always advocating for different flags or different things and so on.
Then I will roll you more trash seeds.
Hooray!
That's Trolley Trashy's more creativeness in running and flags. Thank you.
But no, fantastic work, folk. You did a very good job there.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think, however, we're going to close up the stream now. If that's
Yeah,
okay, unless you've got any parting comments.
Nah, just that it was a good time. Thanks for having us, and thank you, Grimwolf, for running.
Thank you as well, Zelfer, and thank you, Future Force and Mr. Entity for hosting.
And Franklin for tracking.
And Admiral
Indeed.
for making the thing.
Absolutely.
And everybody in chat for watching.
And viewers at home like you.
So, if you're sat there in chat, make sure that you follow our runners and our navigators, who you can see their names on screen. Those are their Twitch names. Go find them. Or there's links in chat if you're lazy. Feel free, if you really want to follow the commentary team, but I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I probably don't.
Definitely follow the tracker though, because he is cool. And yeah, hop onto the Discord, get involved. Why not? It's fun.
Yeah, again, the community is very welcoming. Nobody's gonna be aggressive or anything. If you want to get in on a race for the first time and you're not good, they will in fact probably offer to help you. So
Yeah.
Barrier to entry for this randomizer is very low with the community we have. And as always,
Look what they did for me.
Yeah.
very
exactly.
good point. Grimm's first race, pretty close fourth. So yeah. Aside from that, just thanks to everyone that Future just thanked, as well as most importantly Atma.
Indeed.
Atma Tech, who is the developer of this randomizer and has done just amazing work and continues to do so.
So yes,
Thank you,
that's
Emma.
So yeah, that is us done for this evening. You can catch us, same weekly community race time, slightly different community race place maybe. We'll be on one of the Random Mania channels though, you'll find us pretty easily. So yeah, thank you very much for being here, and we'll catch you next week. Say goodbye everybody.
Boo, Jack.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.